Today I want to show you an Afro-Cuban rhythm called the Cascara. Now the Cascara is one of the most important rhythms used in Afro-Cuban music, as it really lays the foundation on which a lot of dance rhythms are sort of based. So Cascara is a Spanish word that means shell, because this rhythm is usually played on the shell of a drum. Now just a quick history lesson. The Cascara is supposed to have been derived from percussionists who picked up timpani drums and liked the sound of the shell probably more than they liked the playing on the skins themselves. So the Cascara is said to have first been played on timpanis, but because timpanis are so big, they sort of got use a bit of sort of metalwork knowledge and turn them into smaller drums, which are now called timbales and are still used by Afro-Cuban percussionists in modern styles like salsa. And so if you don't have a timbale player, it all comes down to the drummer, and we have to interpret the timbale player's sort of sound onto the drum kit. And probably the closest sound to playing on the shell of a timbale drum is over on the tom-tom, the floor tom here. The snare drum comes pretty close, but there's not a lot of room to get in and play the side of your snare drum sometimes, especially if you've got a piccolo like this one. So I prefer to play the Cascara rhythm on the shell of the tom-tom. Let me do a quick demo of the Cascara and then we'll break it down. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now that was just one type of Cascara. There's actually two types of Cascara that we're going to learn, and that's the 3-2 Cascara and the 2-3 Cascara. Now, if you don't know what 3-2 and 2-3 is, please go and see my lesson on the clave, because the clave is basically the fundamental groove in Afro-Cuban music, and the Cascara is basically born from the clave. It is meant to fit perfectly with the clave to create the sort of rhythmic drive that this sort of music uses. The Cascara I was playing was the 3-2 Cascara, and that fits well with the 3-2 clave. So let me break it down nice and slow. I'll play at a nice slow tempo, and what I'll do is play it without any accents or ghost notes at all. I'll just play the plain 3-2 Cascara rhythm. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now I'll play it again with the accents back in there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's the 3-2 Cascara. Now make sure if it's feeling tricky, you keep it really slow and even count along as you play. If you count along and fill every subdivision, every 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, then you'll easily be able to work out this rhythm, even if your reading isn't that strong. It's all about the counting at this stage. So let's switch it over to the 2-3 Cascara. Now the 2-3 Cascara is really exactly the same rhythm, and we're just starting at a different point. We're starting at bar 2 now, and putting that in front and calling bar 2 bar 1, and then just repeating the same rhythm. So it's basically the same thing, just have to think about it in a slightly different way. So here we go again. First time no accents, second time I'll add the accents in. Here we go. 2-3 Cascara. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. and again with the accents. And you'll notice I'll really try and exaggerate which notes are accented and which notes aren't accented. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now another way to practice your Cascara, probably quite an important way to practice it, is again playing it with the clave rhythm. So what we'll do, there's a few different ways to practice it, but to keep it simple at first, we're just going to combine the Cascara with the rumba clave. Now the rumba clave is a clave, again it's used in street dancing, and it's probably the most sort of driving clave rhythm, one with the most forward motion. And all the clave notes, all the clave beats, you'll find they actually line up perfectly with the Cascara. So that's saying there is no rumba clave beat that does not line up with a Cascara beat. And I think you'll get what I mean when I play it. So what I'll do is play 3-2 clave plus Cascara, and then we'll swap it over and play the 2-3 rumba clave plus Cascara. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And again the 2-3 rumba clave plus Cascara. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's the Cascara plus the rumba clave. You'll also want to practice combining the Cascara with the son clave. So again, check out the lesson on clave if you're not familiar with the son clave. And what you want to do is practice these nice and slow. If they're feeling tricky, keep counting as you go. The key is to keep counting to make sure you're playing the right notes in the right places. And what I'll do is take this lesson out by playing a few different grooves. I'll mix the Cascara and the clave in a few different ways for you and show you how it can be interpreted on the drum kit.